All right, let's jump right in. We're going to completely reframe how we look at starting a self-improvement journey. Look, if you're standing at the starting line right now and you just desperately want to better your life, it is so incredibly easy to get completely overwhelmed by the loud, exhausting hustle culture we see literally everywhere. You scroll online and suddenly you feel like you have to change your entire life overnight, your diet, your sleep schedule, your career, practically your whole personality, just to see any progress at all. Honestly, it's paralyzing. So today we're unpacking some brilliant concepts from a source text called The Architecture of Quiet Transformation. Think of this as your beginner's blueprint. It's kind of like a much-needed pep talk and a super practical action plan all rolled into one. We are going to step away from all that noise, drop the guilt, and actually build real, lasting habits without burning out by day 3.
So we are constantly sold this idea of loud change. It's this absolute myth that you need a sudden, massive burst of motivation and a chaotic total life overhaul to be successful. You know the feeling, right? Buying all the expensive gym gear on a Sunday and declaring a new you by Monday. But our source text completely rejects that overnight success story. Instead, it advocates for quiet transformation. And this approach, it is purposefully slow. It relies on relentless repetition and stacking tiny everyday wins. If you're just starting out, this should feel like a massive weight lifting right off your shoulders. You do not have to change everything today. You don't need to be perfect. You really just have to commit to doing a few remarkably small things consistently.
The absolute core of this is captured beautifully right here. The loudest transformations happen quietly. Think about that for a second. Have you ever announced a huge goal to your friends or posted it on social media only to completely abandon it like a week later? When we broadcast our intentions, we get this premature hit of satisfaction. It actually tricks our brains into feeling like we've already done the hard work. But true evolution, it happens in silence. Not through massive leaps or loud public declarations, but through quiet, repetitive wins in the dark. That's what slowly, almost invisibly, builds a completely new you. Let's break down exactly how you start stacking those wins.
All right, Section 1. Winning the morning routine. The first battles.
To actually win the morning and claim a few quick victories, you need a simple, approachable action plan, because the morning is where you set the absolute foundation for the rest of your day. The text gives us 3 non-negotiable steps to build immediate momentum. First up, wake up before the world. You really want to meet yourself before the noise and the demands of the day hit you. Finding that little pocket of peace where nobody needs anything from you, it is vital for a beginner. Second, absolutely no screen time for the first hour. You have to protect your mind from the world's flood of stress and dopamine before you're even awake enough to process it. And third, make your bed. Now the text is super specific here. You aren't doing this just to be neat. You are making it strictly for momentum. It's all about winning that very first, easiest battle of the day to prove to yourself that you are in control.
And that brings us to this number, 60. 60 seconds of discipline. The source text emphasizes taking cold showers, which, yeah, it sounds incredibly intimidating, maybe even awful if you're a beginner. But look at how it frames the psychology behind it. If you can endure just 60 seconds of cold shower discipline to conquer your physical comfort first thing in the morning, you prove to yourself right then and there that you can conquer anything else the day is going to throw at you. You are literally training your brain to stop listening to that inner voice that whines, "But I don't want to." It builds this instant, impenetrable layer of resilience before you even step out of the bathroom.
Moving on to Section 2. Fueling mind and body. Building the armor.
So the habits we cultivate physically, they basically serve as our armor. And remember, as a beginner, these are not punishing tasks you're forcing on yourself just to look good. They are vital ways to gain the biological energy and mental clarity you absolutely need to sustain this journey. Because let's face it, change is exhausting. Drink water like it's a superpower, because honestly, hydrating a sluggish brain genuinely is one. Lift heavy, because iron sharpens everything physically and mentally. It teaches you that pushing through resistance actually equals growth. Eat clean, and I love this framing. You don't eat clean for abs. You do it for sustained energy, for deep focus, and to fuel the internal war against your old comfortable habits. And finally, commit to daily movement even when you are desperately tired, because motion destroys stagnation.
Now, check out the number 10. 10 pages. That is literally all it takes to begin shifting your mindset. Reading just 10 pages daily is this tiny habit that rewires your thinking. It helps your brain stop craving cheap digital chaos and actually start craving real growth. Look, for someone just starting out, committing to reading an entire book a week sounds totally impossible, right? It just sets you up for failure. But absolutely anyone can read just 10 pages before they go to sleep. It's a tiny, guaranteed win that compounds massively over a year.
And then we have 1 hour of deep work. When the source mentions brutal focus for this hour, that word brutal might sound a little harsh or overly intense, but really, it just means giving yourself the beautiful, increasingly rare gift of 0 distractions. No open browser tabs, no phone buzzing next to your keyboard, nothing. For 1 single hour, you are fully present with whatever you are trying to build. Just imagine the genuine progress you could make on your biggest life goals, the ones you keep putting off, if you gave yourself just 1 hour of pure, undivided attention every single day.
Next up, Section 3, Guarding Time and Space, Protecting Your Peace.
Setting boundaries is a profound act of self-respect. And it is an absolute necessity for anyone starting a new path, because your new habits are fragile and they need protecting. You track your time not to be some perfect robot, but to build awareness and literally see where your hours just bleed away into scrolling. And you've got to start saying no a lot, not to be rude to your friends, but to protect your focus and guard your limited energy. Keep a clean space too, because outer chaos directly creates inner anxiety. Think of your physical space as an extension of your own mind. And finally, take daily walks without a phone. I know, it sounds crazy, but that unplugged, distraction-free clarity is exactly where your best ideas are born and where your stress finally dissolves.
This brings us to a cornerstone concept: keeping a daily promise. Look, when you're at the very beginning of bettering yourself, you might be carrying a pretty heavy history of letting yourself down. We've all been there: broken New Year's resolutions, abandoned diets. Your self-trust is basically bankrupt. Rebuilding that trust is literally everything. Even if your daily promise is incredibly small, like drinking 1 single glass of water the moment you wake up or stretching for just 2 minutes. Following through on that promise is the foundational mechanism for proving to your own brain that you are finally reliable. You are building a brand new relationship with yourself, one kept promise at a time.
Which leads us to Section 4, the nightly reflection, anchoring the day. How you close your day determines exactly how you're going to start your next one. This is where the quiet transformation is processed and firmly anchored right into your new identity. First, sit in silence. No music, no background noise, no content. Sitting quietly with yourself and the weight you carry is where actual emotional processing and healing happens. Second, journal honestly. It does not have to be poetry. It can be a messy, frustrated brain dump of your day. Just get it out of your head. And third, write down 3 wins each night. This is so essential for a beginner. Even if you feel like you totally messed up your diet or skipped the gym, the text reminds us that a win can be as simple as acknowledging, hey, I drank my water today, or even just, I didn't quit today.
As we wrap up these concepts, we have to face a really critical question. When you're a beginner staring up at this absolute mountain of self-improvement, the journey can feel incredibly lonely. It is vital to ask yourself, when you're tired, when that initial excitement totally fades, and when things get genuinely hard, who is truly going to carry you across the finish line?
Well, the answer is staring right back at you. The internal dialogue you use every single day absolutely must be rooted in deep self-respect. If you are constantly putting yourself down, criticizing every little slip-up, and calling yourself a failure just for missing one workout, your transformation stops before it even starts. You cannot hate yourself into a version of yourself that you love. It doesn't work. You have to step up and be your own biggest ally because, as the author so bluntly points out here, if you don't have your own back, who will?
The core argument of this entire philosophy is summarized perfectly right here. It is never about motivation. Motivation is just a feeling, and feelings will inevitably fade. Some days you will absolutely not want to show up. You'll stumble, you'll have bad days, and you know what? That is completely okay. But stacking those tiny, approachable wins we've been talking about, the 10 pages, the glass of water, the quiet, phone-free walks, that is how you slowly, sometimes painfully, but permanently evolve your life. It's about building a completely new identity to the undeniable proof of silent repetition. I really want to leave you with this incredibly empowering thought from the text to fuel the start of your journey. Don't wait for a hero to swoop in and fix your life. Don't wait for the absolute perfect moment or the perfect Monday to begin, because you already have everything you need right in this exact moment to be your own rescue plan. Start quiet, start small, and start today. So, think about this. What is the very first quiet promise you are going to make and actually keep to yourself tomorrow morning?